Hello, hello. A very good afternoon. Good morning to our American friends. Very delighted to welcome you to the December webinar, Enablement webinar. We are currently, waiting for everybody to roll in. I can see the number of attendees increasing. So we'll give it a couple of minutes, 5 minutes typically, to make sure that everybody's on board, everybody has logged in, has sorted out their sounds, and more importantly, can see my screen, right? So if you see a tiny little Vizlib with a logo and a Christmas hat on top of it, then you're seeing the right screen and you're well connected. So while we're waiting here, perhaps, I can just have a little bit of small talk here. See a lot of familiar faces joining here. I'd like to thank you everybody for the last 3 months. For those of you who have been following me or have been seeing my profile on LinkedIn, I've been traveling extensively. Actually, it was 12 cities across 7 countries, twice in the US. We did the whole Data Revolution tour, which I think was 9 stops in total that we attended. Myself, I only attended 5 of them. But yeah, it was a very nice opportunity to meet a lot of you guys in person, to see a couple of use cases. We did manage to visit some customers before and after the Data Revolution tours in person. And all right, 1 second. We need to do one little check. All right.
Welcome to the webinar.
Hi, Joe. One quick check. Can you see the right PDF screen? All righty. Let's give it 5 more minutes, and we're going to start exactly at 4.2. As I was continuing to say, so yeah, we met a lot of you customers and people and Qlik enthusiasts over the last 3 months in person, and that was a really, really nice experience. And of course, thank you for those of you who attended the Data Revolution tour and came to our booth. So when I came back, actually end of November, I decided that, okay, I'm not going to do any more travels for the end of the year. Didn't manage to keep that, but we went to Poland actually last week to celebrate a Christmas party with a Polish team. Now we're back, but I think that's it for the rest of the year. I'm pretty sure you guys are also very, very keen on your holidays. Us as well. We most of us from the team are breaking away on Friday. We have our Christmas party on Friday. So yeah, hopefully we have quiet time and some time to think about, some time to relax, but also, reflect how we can conquer 2020 and, bring out new features and work on our roadmap. So yeah, give me 1 second. I'll double check my screen is shared okay, and then we'll get kicked off right away. Right, guys, let's give us one more minute. I'm just doing a last check whether the screen is shared okay, and we're all good to go. Wonderful, just got a green light. So with this, I welcome you to our last webinar of the year, the Vizlib Enablement webinar, where I have the opportunity to showcase talk to you and demonstrate to you a couple of new features that we have released in the last couple of months, but also stuff that we're working on and other kind of general news that are happening around the world of Vizlib. I'm going to shut down my webcam to make sure that everything else is streamed all right. As you know, there's a tiny chat box at the right-hand side. You're happy to send questions, comments anytime. My team is currently online and they'll be able to answer you and help you with anything else that you like or see on the screen, so don't hesitate to be interactive. So kicking it off today, the agenda is always kept very light, so a couple of news, then features, updates, and very important, Vizlib Gantt chart demo. For those of you who know, we've released a new product yesterday, which we're very excited about, and I'm going to do a little bit of a deep dive on this. And then, what's coming up next for our roadmap, and as always, we'll end up with a Q&A at the end to, go into a couple of your questions in more detail and discussing them for the rest of you. So, Vizlib news. What's happening in the world of Vizlib? We're of course growing, but more importantly, we have done a big splash on our content world. So as most of you have been following us, you'll be seeing that we have been releasing weekly digests, blog posts, enablement webinars, and I kind of want to highlight that to those of you who have not been aware, to please use our blog homepage on our blog post and follow different posts that we're publishing. We're currently doing this on a very regular basis, either collating articles or covering very interesting topics. And it's not just about Vizlib, it's not just about Qlik Sense, it's always about the topic of analytics, right? So if you guys want to stay on top of the latest trends, discussions, thoughts, or then for example, this Monday Digest is a great way to just get a quick summary of relevant articles that helps you effectively to think forward. So please do that. Appreciate it. It's very easy to get access. All you got to do is either follow us on Twitter, on LinkedIn. We always make a post. Or very important, you can also go here to our blog post on home.vizlib.com/blog, and you'll see lots of interesting articles here that pretty sure some of them will be very useful to you. So also webinars, so we also have our YouTube channel, and as you guys know, Joe Warrington has done a very interesting webinar on how to jumpstart your data storytelling. Have a look at it. He's created some brilliant examples with Vizlib on top of Qlik Sense, and he showed you also how to do those. So that's an interesting one to watch. And so in case you're bored over the Christmas period, have a look at the content. It's actually very interesting. Continuing with the news, a bit early, but already confirmed, Vizlib is not only attending Qlik World, but it's also headlining Qlik World as a diamond sponsor. So as some of you know, Qlik Connections has been renamed to Qlik World. And this year it's taking, or next year it's taking place in Phoenix, Arizona. And we're very delighted to announce that we have been invited to become a top sponsor and effectively headline the event. So very great news, big step up for Vizlib. For those of you who know us for a longer period of time, 2 years ago, we had a tiny little kiosk. Last year, we had Uber sponsorship with 2 pillars, and now we're going for the maximum amount. So we're very proud about this. And for those of you thinking about attending, do so. It's really worth it. And I think there's currently some discount if you sign up early. It's a great trip, lots of people you can meet, but more importantly, get on the latest and greatest around Qlik and Vizlib, of course, as well. So yeah. Great step for us. Very happy about this. And yeah, so another very interesting thing is this little slide. So you see that we now have added a tiny little icon here on our presentation slide, the purple one here, which is representing the Vizlib Gantt chart. So as of today, as of yesterday, we have released a new product line. And the new product line is called Vizlib Gantt. And for those of you who are not familiar with it, the Gantt chart is effectively a great way to visualize projects, tasks, hierarchies, timelines, and how they all interrelate with each other on top of the data set. So it's very easy to tap into the data that you have. If you have, for example, events data, or for example, schedules or project timelines is typically the best use case, or many other kind of ways where you want to consume event data and visualize it in the best possible way. I'll spend some time on this today to highlight a couple of the features, but we're very proud about this, and we have a lot of ideas how we will extend this and take this even further to ultimately, bring the full power of project planning directly into your data in Qlik Sense. So with this, I kind of conclude a little bit the news, but because I want to make sure that I spend enough time on the new features and capabilities that we have. So starting with the latest updates. Before I begin, really, I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but we have a Christmas extension. A Christmas extension that we release once a year for 1 month during the month of December, that if you come in here into your user portal, you'll see here that it appears almost like an Easter egg, but it's a Christmas extension. It works like any other extension that we have. You download it, you import it to your Qlik Sense environment, and what it does is if you create a new sheet, let me show this to you. Moving over in Qlik Sense, here we are. Right. So all you got to do is you will see here on the left-hand side on the Vizlib portal, the Vizlib Christmas extension. And what it does is all you got to do is drag and drop it onto your screen, and immediately you will get a nice little festive feeling for your Qlik Sense apps. You'll have a tiny extension here with icons, and as with Vizlib, you always have full flexibility to customize your Qlik Sense app in any way you want. So for example, you can easily come in here and you can say, actually, I want to play around with the snow. I want to have snowballs instead of snowflakes. You can also say, I want to make it very stormy, and you can increase them. So you can also increase the speed. If you make it very fast, you see here that, okay, it's not really much faster, but you get the idea that you can make almost like a little bit of a snowstorm out of it. Of course, you also have Christmas decorations. You can add, the selection bar. You can add hanging socks. A Christmas card that is, I think, appearing every 30 seconds. But yeah, a tiny little add-in on top of your Qlik Sense app that will give it its festive feeling, and it'll make it look a little bit, nicer for the next couple of weeks. But yeah, continuing now with perhaps the more serious or interesting extensions that we have improved, starting from the Vizlib Library. So most of you have or are using the Vizlib Library, and we are, of course, continuing to be heavily invested in not only developing more features, but continuously improving also the quality. As such, for the last 6 months, we have effectively, not 6 months, sorry, the past 3 months, we have focused a lot on performance improvements. We literally took a step back and we created some really heavy use case example apps, and we spent a lot of time making sure that we can improve the loading times, the responsiveness of those extensions. As such, we had some really great accomplishments, such as KPI Designer, bar chart, slider, where we literally improved the initial load times. But also, for example, in the case of the Vizlib Filter version 3, we have completely rewritten it from scratch. We took whatever we've developed in March and we rewrote it using Angular 8, the latest technologies, and generally made it extremely much more responsive than it was before. So I wanted to highlight that this is always an ongoing progress within the world of Vizlib, and we'll always keep improving our existing library and not just focusing on new features. So that is actually a big accomplishment that has not finished. That will be an ongoing thing. So for those of you, if you have something that you'd like to see improved faster, contact us. We take this very seriously. At the same time, of course, we keep enhancing, we keep adding, we keep improving the experience. So we have added a couple of nice, interesting features in the last 2 months, especially around the Vizlib Pivot Table and the Vizlib Actions. So perhaps I can start with Vizlib Actions in this example. So a very interesting use case that a lot of customers have, and I think this is since the dawn of time of data analytics, is people want to see a very wide table, as many columns and measures as possible, like this pretty example here that I've created. And all they want to do is they want to right-click, export to CSV, right? And we had requests from customers or even like prospects if we are able to display 100 columns, 200 columns. At some point we always ask, why do you want to display so much data, on the screen? And by all means, right, we're all very talented, but showing 800 columns, so many data points, that's not really comprehensive for the human mind. Well, it's always about exporting, right? Making selections, exporting that to Excel, almost using Qlik Sense as a data export tool, right? Now, we can of course try to educate and try to convince our business users that to analyze the data directly in Qlik Sense. However, let's solve this export solution, right? So instead of having to display everything at one go, where as some of you who are working with Qlik Sense or Qlik in general know, you would be hitting the in-memory database with every selection. You'll blow up the RAM. The server, will increase its footprint as well, and performance will suffer. And so we kind of thought, is there a better way to achieve this? And what we've done is we have created an export action. So this here on the left-hand side is a Vizlib advanced text object, right? And Vizlib actions are tiny little triggers that we add on almost nearly every extension. And what we've done is we've added another little tab here, which is called export data. Now, what you can do with the export data tab is you can define a list of dimensions that are being exported on Qlik. You can also define a list of measures that are exported on Qlik, right? And they come in a string format, so you need to separate them with a pipe, but it's very easy actually to do with a concat function we'll show you. And then you can define the format, you can define the file name, and you can also say, well, do you want existing selections to be or filters to be reflected? If somebody picks regions, do you want the data set to shrink or do you want the whole value? And based on those things, what you can do is you can effectively create a very much more flexible and much more performant data exporting solution on top of your Qlik Sense app. So what we've done here is actually we've created a dimension picker and a measure picker. These are just dimension fields, very easy to load in, and the user can select what data they want to select, right? Which expression they want to see exported. They can even make selection in the data model, right? Like imagine you're exploring your data set, you're going, very, very deep, and you say, all right, whatever I'm seeing right now, I want to export this for these dimensions and these measures. So what we're doing here in that implementation, and that example app is fully available to you, we're using the concat function, which creates this pipe delimited string. And all the user does is clicks on this and exports a file. Easy peasy. No long tables, no 30 seconds loading times, no performance issues, no hitting on the server and racking up the RAM, just the most efficient export to Excel using a nice little dimension picker. So that's a wonderful feature we've released, available to you on the Vizlib Advanced Text Object. It will, since it's a Vizlib action, it will see itself migrate or introduced also in other extensions such as the KPI designer and so on and so on. But yeah, I think, having worked as a Qlik consultant for many years, I think this is a very important solution for a lot of problems that people are trying to solve using Qlik Sense. So that's now available. Continuing now on perhaps the more visual part of Vizlib and Vizlib features. As you know, we have a very powerful table and also now pivot table. And what we're doing is we're trying to migrate features from the table into the Vizlib table. So what we have now is, what we've added is effectively a progress bar. So for those of you who know from the Vizlib table times, that's readily available here in the settings. As you know, you can choose whether you want to have indicators, text, presentation, or progress bar. So now progress bar is available, right? And so you can easily just add it. We added it here for profit and loss. We can also include it easily with just one click for the price change, right? And the progress bar allows you to visualize effectively the difference between individual rows and values in form of a bar chart. Now, as I'm expanding here with different values, you can easily then identify with the eye, all right, where are the maximas, where are the minimas, where are the negatives, where are the positives. I see here a price change is only positive, but there are a lot of settings that you can control with this, such as, for example, if you come in here and you can say, all right, I don't want to hide the negative bars, I want to show them. So now you get a little bit more perspective in how your data is distributed. And typically, when we're talking about profit and loss, you want to easily identify in your pivot table as you're drilling down, as you're exploring it, where's the attention, right? So it's a very interesting visual cue. I'm very happy that we have included this, and the beginning of many more visual features that we will be adding to the Vizlib pivot table. Right, so that's available for you right now, so to explore it, and yeah, more things coming very soon on that. So continuing now with another interesting involvement or changes in the Vizlib Finance and in the Vizlib self-service packages. As you know, these are the former Climber extensions. A lot of you guys have been using the self-service custom report, and I want to show you that we're now heavily investing and progressing with a lot of interesting features to evolve both the finance package but also the self-service package. Perhaps I'll begin with the self-service package because that's the one most people are familiar with. What I'll do is quickly open an app that we have created for this example. So for those of you who've never used the custom report, it's about self-service. If the answer is not if a question is not answered to your standard dashboard, the user will always have the ability to choose from a list of dimensions and measures and create their own report on the fly, right? Not only create their own report on the fly, they can also change types from table to pivot table very easily and change also the data sets and all that, on top of Qlik Sense. Also, that means if you create a bookmark, you store your report. Now, what's happening new here? So what we've added is the filter. So of course, as you're generating your report, as you're adding more dimensions to your custom report, you may want to apply filters. And you might also want to apply filters to dimensions that are perhaps not visible here. So what you have here on the right-hand side is a tiny little thing that if you expand this, you'll have the ability to make selections directly on the data set. So let's say I'm selecting fruit and salad, and not only I'm reducing the sets, but you see also, how many available data points are there still to be selected or how many are excluded. So you effectively get the full Qlik Sense experience, right, in a more natively feeling way with the custom report. And I think this will add a lot of value to people as they're not only generating their custom reports, but they're also kind of trying to see and filter the values as they're generating everything on the fly. Now, let's say I've managed to achieve a view. I've created a table that is very relevant to me, and I kind of want to work with this. I always want to look at the same view. I don't want to serve as a bookmark. I want to somehow extract it. So what we have right now is the ability to right-click on any custom report chart object that you have generated, right? Be it a table, you can also use the Sankey chart, right? If you have a Vizlib library, so it's fully functional in this particular case. But let's go back to the table. If I like this view, I can right-click and I can export this to a new sheet, right? So I can generate charts and reports, almost like an easy way to develop charts. And all I do is I export this to a new sheet, and it creates a personal sheet on the app. So it exports that. So effectively, I just open on the same app my own community sheet or personal sheet, right? With a copy of the report that I have generated. That allows you then to reuse it, to do whatever you want with it. And effectively, if you create a nice dashboard with this, you can come in here, right click and say, hey, I'm going to publish this so everybody else can see this, right? So a little bit of a handy way for users to create community sheets and a bit more enhanced experience that is more native to Qlik Sense. And more things coming here as well that I highlight in a little bit. On the Vizlib Finance Report now, we did a little bit of an overhaul here and more things are coming, but more importantly, we've listened to your feedback, especially around expanding and collapsing. So what is available today is effectively, let me quickly open it. Here we go. a better way to interact with various hierarchy levels in the finance report. So for those of you who've never heard about this, it's effectively a way, so an extension or solution that allows you to generate pixel perfect reports based on your financial data with very specific ways how to create and define hierarchies. Now, as you guys have been using this, you have been, expanding certain levels, which is good for exploration. But some people are also using a finance report for exporting, right? So when you come in here, you can easily right-click, you export, and I think you can export the formatted way. I'm not sure if that's set up here. Let me do a quick check. Oh yeah, here it is, right? So it creates exactly an export of what you see on the screen, however, on top of Excel. Now, what was the challenge so far? The challenge was that people, if they wanted to see all levels of the pivot table, they had to expand them individually. So now this is available on the fact of a right click. All you got to do is right click here and you can expand all in one go. It will, of course, depending on your data set, take a little bit of time, right? But see here, now everything is exported, happy times. So now you can use this to export this to Excel or, get everything in one glance. So you get a better way to kind of get to the lowest level in just one click away. Now, I'll collapse everything again, right? Because maybe we're just interested to see this in one view, which brings me to the next feature that we have added, which is effectively showing and hiding of columns. Now, this is a standard Qlik feature where you don't always want to show all the columns. You perhaps want to change the context depending on what you're looking at, how you want to look at your report. So for example, here you see here that I'm showing the target, but I can easily hide the target, at which point we're looking at a different report, right? If I put it back on, you can then all of a sudden see actual versus budget and see a comparison. You can also change it to show percentages, right? Very classic use case. I want to see things in relative terms or in normal absolute terms, or actually, as a matter of fact, you can see your report also in both terms, right? So both in relative or in an actuals values. So, that's typically a very powerful capability for people, who have a standard report, but they want to add or remove columns depending on how they want to view the data. And yeah, so showing and hiding of columns is now available, and yeah, very easy to implement. And I think I'll give it a try. So if you go to data and yeah, I think this is a calculation condition. Okay, but we'll come back to that. I think that's included in the documentation. But cool, so we have selections and dimensions for a custom report, creation of charts on the fly and added as a community sheet, and hiding, showing of columns, and very important, expanding and collapsing. So continuing with a nice little journey of latest new features, I will now focus on Vizlib Collaboration. So Vizlib Collaboration has been a new product that we released generally from scratch in the last couple of months, and it's effectively a way for us to bring the conversations to where the data is. So I will, just to kind of give you a tiny recap of what the solution does and where it's coming from. So yeah, I can show you here. Done. Right, so it's effectively a really, really nice way for people to add a conversation to different charts, add comments to different sheets, and effectively maintain and have a conversation directly in Qlik Sense on a dashboard. So what we can do here is, you can add comments, and the comments are tied to selections. That's the beautiful thing. So if I can see what different people were commenting on, and I can quickly change the context here. So it's a very powerful extension for that purpose. And what we've done in the past couple of months is we have spent a lot of time developing an enterprise version of this. So the big question of collaboration is always, where do you store the comments? And you want to store this on premise. And what we've done to solve this is we've created a solution that is effectively can easily be installed on premise within your environment by creating a database that is fully located within your realms. So To achieve this, what we've done is we've created an installer, and I want to kind of walk you through and show you a little bit how easy it is. And we spend a significant amount of time in there to make sure it's as easy as possible, right? We did a lot of tests to make sure there's no way you can do it wrong in any way. So what you'll do is you will log in into your environment, and you'll see here on the left hand side that you will have collaboration now. So if you download the collaboration from our portal, you'll see if you're activated, right? So if you do not see this view, you need to send us an email and we will activate an enterprise trial. But you will see here the extension that is standard, but now also a server, and the server can easily be downloaded. It's just an executable. There might be, some security warnings. Hey, are you sure you want to execute this or not? But it comes securely from Vizlib, so it's all fine. You can take this, you can put it on one of your servers, right? And here's the installer. All you got to do is just run it. You get a list of kind of tasks. We have a lot of rich documentation of how to go it, including step-by-step installation guide. And all you got to do really is just add next, 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 right? And that's it. You can define a password, username, and voila, you install Vizlib server and Vizlib Collaboration Enterprise in just a matter of, I would say in 5 minutes or less. And for those of you who will be using the enterprise version of Collaboration, you will then get a dedicated management console where you can fully manage your comments, and ultimately also all security rules and anything else that is associated with that, including certificates. So just to give you a quick glance, this is how the Vizlib Management Console looks like, right? It's a service in itself. You see I have licenses here, but more importantly, I can see which users have access to commentary, and you can see the logs. You can also kind of see the comments, so you can browse them if you have admin permission. You can archive them. So, it's fully enterprise ready, fully ready to go, under very high security standards. And for those of you who have never heard about this, right, I mean, that's also a very important feature that became available is, streams. So, and I think it's becoming a little bit technical. I'll just cover it very quickly, just to highlight this. But effectively, every conversation that you have on your dashboard, you might want to change this, and you might want to have a different kind of channel or stream for different people. So, for example, you want to have testers or quality people having a different collaboration channel than other people, right? So you can easily control that by creating what we call streams. So in here, what you do is you create a new stream, and then you can say, look, everybody that belongs to stream, I don't know, management, they see comments of each other, but other people don't see comments that belong to management if they're not part of that stream. So this way you can have different conversations on the same dashboard, on the same data, and manage it securely in between. So very, very powerful, very secure, also works with custom properties from Qlik Sense. And, that's the enterprise version for you that allows you to, control that and manage that in a very efficient and smart way. So yeah, for those of you who are interested, or for the partners of ours, if you have a customer who's interested in exploring the enterprise version, very easy. Again, all you got to do is log into Vizlib.com and log in here, request for a trial activation. So make sure that you get 20 users, maybe until the end of the year, and it's literally set up in 5 minutes. And yeah, gives you the full power of collaboration and many more kind of collaborative features directly in Qlik Sense. A tiny thing that is coming, is not yet entirely released, but we're working is categorization. So when you go effectively to your comments, you will also have the ability to effectively classify the comment as a category of your choice, right? So the way that sometimes somebody comments something and says, well, is this urgent? Is this high priority? Is this low priority? So this is something that you will be able to define in the property panels. So let me quickly open that. It's nearly ready, so it'll be released in January for those of you who are, interested in that capability. So what you see here on the right-hand side of the screen as it's loading, yeah. is that selections of comments have now a color banner next to it. So you see that this is a medium comment, this is medium as well, this is a low comment. And as you're typing things, and you can say, please review, you see here that you can, add a tag to this. Actually, this is a low priority one, so ignore it. And, you can define what these categories are very easily in the property panel, right? So, all you got to do is, and hope this works nicely, you'll see appearance, comment styling, no, almost there. All right, maybe that's not yet developed, but you will be able to, have the possibility to add different kind of categories very easily via the property panel. So you can have it any way you want it and specific to a sheet or a dashboard of your choice. So interesting things happening here. Do explore it, do download it, and request for the enterprise version as soon as possible. And we're happy to assist you with Vizlib Collaboration. But yeah, now to the interesting bit, which of course we are very, very excited about, which is the Vizlib Gantt chart. So we have generally worked for the last 3 months on this extension and ultimately wanted to provide and develop the best possible way to visualize project workflows or timelines, or generally any kind of event management data set in a very nice and intuitive way. And for this, we've released this as a separate product. So this is a new product. It's not part of the library. It's going to be a standalone product. A lot of people are interested only in the Gantt because it's a very specific use case. But with this, I think it's a good opportunity to walk you through this, right? Very important, as with everything that we release, it's fully compatible with printing, exporting to PDF, PowerPoint, mashups, mobile. So the Vizlib Gantt works in all those kind of use cases and is very, very, very powerful. But yeah, perhaps I can just show you what I'm talking about live in action. So I'm now going to our Qlik Sense environment. And opening the Vizlib Gantt and going directly to the magic. So I'll walk you through a couple of those features in a couple of steps, but it's effectively a nice little way how you can visualize all your projects and timelines in one glance, right? So you see here, for example, that you have, different phases, different events that are happening, certain milestones, and you have, a lot of flexibility how you define them. All of them are driven by your data set, right? So the event is specified in your data, the start date and the end date is specified in your data as well. So we're only talking about visualizing things here. There's no other interaction than exploration in this Gantt chart, so you cannot edit the data. So it has to come from your own data source. But it's very, very flexible. It allows you to look everything in one glance. It allows you to drill in more detail. But more importantly, you have the ability to change and filter, right? So if you want to change your data set to a different project, for example, you can easily do so. It's fully interactive. If you make selections here, it works just like Qlik. You can select individual events even, right, to drill down, and then you can see further analysis next to this. Taking this further to talk a little bit more detail and those features, right? So very important is that we have a lot of coloring options if you want to color your events by groups, by stacks. Very important is also the hierarchy, right? So you'll be able to expand and collapse different events and sub-events. So you can have different kind of phases of a project and project milestones that belong together, grouped, and not only grouped, but also aggregated, right? And I'll come to that in a second. Yeah, so it works really, really nicely zooming in, zooming out. If you have it in a minimize mode, you can expand this to get a better glance. So it's really powerful for that purpose. But yeah, taking this further is custom tooltips, right? So every event has an additional set of information that is more relevant when you hover over it, right? So descriptions, what's going on there. So with our HTML tooltip, you can actually either have some standard pieces of information like the start date, end date, the progress, or you can even have images there or event images, but also like a table with a set of information that includes all the project details for that particular milestone or event or bar, right? But again, it's up to you how you want to implement this, but it gives you full flexibility. You can even, I mean, I'm just brainstorming here. You can get the JIRA list for that particular project milestone and retrieve all the outstanding tasks that are belonging to this. So there are a lot of interaction options with our HTML tooltip, ultimately giving you all the flexibility that you need in a standard project management tool. Taking this a little bit further, we also have added a little bit of an aggregation logic, right? So, we're all about visualizing data, but if we can aggregate data, we can add a little bit more value to what we're, looking at. So, for example, you have the progress bars. So the progress bar allows you to, if you go to the, let's go into the property panel just to show you the details. So the progress bar allows you in the settings to define a little bit of calculation of, when is the project finished, when is the project due, and how far are we within the project, right? So right now we've just added a random expression, right? But, are we completing this? Are we getting there? And the beautiful thing of a progress bar is that it can aggregate different hierarchies. So if you have, for example, here the content edit, acquisition, editorial, and copy edit, I can collapse this, and then I can see a different progress for the aggregated view. So, oops, and then it's, yeah, here we go. So it allows you to kind of see an accumulated view of things coming together. And I think that is a little bit of a very beautiful thing if you want to see, okay, where are we with this? Are we getting close? Are we far away? How many days are left? So it gives you a little bit of an aggregated, piece of information or numbers on where we are with the project. So very, very powerful. And, one thing that we always strive on and, pride ourselves in is, to make things very, very easy to create. So if you're starting off with a Gantt chart and you just downloaded this, again, it's available on our website and the user portal. All you got to do is generally just, zip it and download it and import it on your Qlik Sense environment. So it doesn't require any servers. It's generally like a standalone extension that is available for you. You import this and then it appears effectively as a package on the left-hand side here, right? So all you got to do is drag and drop this. And what we've done is we've created a nice little wizard, right? Your data needs to come in a certain format. And for those of you who've not worked much with a Gantt chart, it might be difficult in the very beginning. We have something like a data model requirements documentation, right? That shows exactly what kind of data do we need, what format do we need to have. We've explained this here as well, included also kind of like a sample data for you if you want to explore this. But, very important, all you got to do is you drag and drop. You choose the task name, for example. You choose, project start date, a project end date, and you can define hierarchies, 1 or 2, it's entirely up to you. Let's define one hierarchy level, and I will call this, the group, project group, and that's it. And you immediately got yourself a Sankey chart, a Gantt chart. So that's how easy it is. And, you can then continue and you can say, look, I want to add project phases as well. So I think I added, print. I need to add project. Here we go. Right, so then you all of a sudden have grouping, so you can have effectively collapsing. So, it's very easy to create, and I think that's what it is all about. So with this, do try it, do explore it. Very, very keen to hear some feedback on this, but, very easy and very, very powerful and, easy to create. So continuing with our roadmap, where things are heading, what are we working on, what is coming soon. So as always, it's not very easy to kind of define this. We are, of course, very, very motivated. Sometimes, we dream a big, bigger than we are managing to accomplish it in a certain amount of time. So we're always, overestimating how quickly we can do things, but again, because we want to do things right. So to give you a little bit of a glance, I'll walk you through, what's in our head for, the current packages, and then a little bit more in a high level. And I'll show you a couple of stuff that we are also working on. So on the Vizlib library, what we will do is we will add Vizlib templates and Viz tips. What that is, I'll be able to show you work in progress in a second. but that's going to be a feature that's going to be applied on all various extensions, right? So it's going to be a library update. At the same time, we're also kind of like panning out our roadmap with new additions to the Vizlib library, such as, for example, Vizlib button, Vizlib chord diagram, slope chart, waterfall switch input, and also Vizlib Work Cloud will be included, will be worked on next year. We don't know exactly in what order, but we keep on adding new stuff to the Vizlib library. It's an important statement, and we are keen to do that. There's still stuff that we haven't done and we feel should be included. So more extensions will come next year, but we'll also be working on other packages. So for example, Vizlib service package will receive an easier way to create data model, tap into the underlying data model. So it'll actually be much more easier to create and much more powerful as such. For those of you who are part of a finance report, we want to enable the commentary bit and merge it together with a collaboration server. At the same time, we will also include viz tips and categorization on comments. Collaboration will kind of speed up now that we got the server done and dusted. We will now focusing more on adding features such as the categories, as I just showcased, action items, a basic workflow, user tagging and mentioning, and very important, subscription to conversations, right? So you want to be able to get like a daily or a weekly or a monthly summary of what kind of comments have been posted and in form of an email, and that's something that will resolve and include to collaboration, hopefully before Qlik World. And last but not least, the Gantt charts will also now get a couple of updates. And the most important update will be the ability to update, to kind of dynamically change the information on the Gantt chart using drag and drop and update the data that is underneath it, right? A little bit like a write-back service, but in a more intuitive fashion related to, project planning. Not anytime soon. We need to solve the write-back solution first, but that's where our head is ultimately going to make it more intuitive to interact and write back and add your input on top of your data. But focusing a little bit on the stuff that I can show you today, such as the viz tips. So what's a viz tip? Could be a visualization tip. However, we decided a viz tip for us, for Vizlib, is a visualization tooltip. A visualization within a tooltip can add a lot of information, more relevant information on top of a chart. This is a very famous kind of capability of Tableau. It's called Viz and Tooltips. However, we are literally at the brink of solving that for Qlik Sense using our powerful KPI designer. So I'm going to show you like a tiny little example how it looks like. So a lot of you guys are aware of our KPI designer, and effectively all we got it trying to do is we're trying to include this as a tooltip on basically any chart. And we're currently starting with a Vizlib bar chart. 1 second, I think I have it open. I'm almost there. Please apologize. I thought I had it prepared. So, I mean, it's all still work in progress. The most difficult capability to figure out in this example is to make sure it's very, very responsive and quick. So that's what we're spending out most of our time. But ultimately, what we have is a KPI designer where, as you know, you have the full flexibility to design it in any way you want. And what we'll be adding here is taking the ability in a bar chart to add the KPI designer on the tooltip. So if this loads, 1 second. All right, as you see, I'm currently on our development server. It tends to be a little bit slower than the demo server, so I apologize. We're working on uncharted territory here. If it doesn't load. I'll give it one more second. If not, please do apologize for not having prepared that very well. It was all a little bit last minute. I wanted to show it. I got very excited this morning when we showed where we are with it. All right. Okay, unfortunately, I will have to skip the live demo of this, but rest assured what we're currently looking at is to introduce this in the Vizlib bar chart in January, right? So that is the first goal. And then eventually, if that works fine and we're tested and we're happy with this, it will very quickly be added to the combo chart, Vizlib table and pivot table, and many more, the rest of the library that we have. So work in progress, almost there, and yeah, I'll keep loading it on the side in case it pops up in a bit. Otherwise, I'd like to use the opportunity to continue and talk about Vizlib templates. So for those of you who've heard it first time, it's you know the keyword presets. We're now going to rename it, and we're going to call this templates. And to give you a little bit the idea and the challenge that we're trying to solve here is that we see this a lot, that a lot of people are wanting to create beautiful dashboards. They have the tools, but they don't know how. They don't know how to create a nice style. They don't know how to create a branded table or a branded dashboard that is compliant to the guidelines of an organization, and either because they're not there, or because people are not creative enough, or don't have the time, quite frankly, right? So what we've done in the world of Vizlib is we have effectively created presets, and as the screenshot sees here on the left hand side, it's almost like a pre-configuration of what we see on this, what we could see on the screen, right? So it's almost like a fast way for somebody to create a chart, either having a certain formatting or a certain standard of configuration, right? So what we do in the world of Vizlib is we have said, okay, we have created a couple of templates for you, but we appreciate that's never enough. So what we've done here is, you see here on the right hand side, if you go to templates, you'll have a list of various templates that you can quickly apply, right? So that's already there out there. But what we want to do is we want to give you the ability to create your own templates. So let's say I'm coming here and I say, look, I'm in a new organization. I want to define some standards. So I'm going to say, look, any main KPI that is visualized, I'm going to, let me create this for a second, right? I'm not going to use Qlik expressions. I'm going to, make this fixed and, add it here. So, beautiful Vizlib KPI gives a lot of flexibility of how to create different designs that you ultimately want to accomplish. So I'm adding a bullet chart at the top, and then perhaps I want to also add, a line chart at the bottom. And for whatever reason, I say, look, for our dashboards, for our apps in development, this is the standard design. I want everybody to use this design, and only deviate slightly from it. So what I can do now, and from January onwards, we will release this. You'll have the ability to save this as a template. So you can come in here and you can say Vizlib Martin demo template, right? You save this, and it gets stored, right? It gets stored and in your templates here. So if you pop this up again, you'll see here on the right hand side that there's a collection of my personal templates here. This is the Vizlib Martin demo template here, right? So what you can do here is you can always reuse them for personal use, but at some point you want to be able to publish them, right? So there's effectively within your organization a set of templates that your developers and your users can reuse at any given time. So within our user portal, our website, you'll be able to promote personal templates to publish templates, right? And as a user admin, you'll be able to control that and effectively giving users the ability to create their own designs without losing them, right? So if I come in here and I choose this design, I say, oh, actually, that's not quite what I want. I can go back to the one that I've created and I can say, I want the Martin template, right? So you can retract it. So I hope this will speed up standards, guidelines, and branding standards within the organization, and make it much easier to create good looking dashboards, using those pre-configurations. And that's something that will be released for the rest of the library. So yeah, templates are ready. So be excited about them. I think I actually just managed to open the tooltip designer, a very brief version of it, but the idea is to have a tooltip that shows you a chart, a text object, and it updates as you're flicking through the individual values. So stay tuned, stay excited. We're going to improve the speed a little bit as well. I mean, that's what we're momentarily working on. But so with this, I would like to conclude a little bit, where we're heading, what we're doing. I've shown this slide last time. For those of you who see it for the first time, we're focusing on Qlik Sense. We want to become your everything analytics on top of Qlik. So we, of course, will be working on our currently 5 packages, but we will be also adding new ones hopefully next year, such as a write-back table, and very important, a mashup table, which will allow you to create very beautifully designed web apps on top of your Qlik Sense data. So so with this, thank you very much for your patience and listening in. I'd like to use the last couple of minutes before we conclude for questions. And with this, I'm open for questions. So please do fire them on the chat and I will have a look at them right now. So let's give it a little bit of a moment. And I will skim through them right away. Right, so one, so there's one interesting comment around a question around the finance commentary. So it will remain as it is, but currently the finance commentary is sitting on a different backend compared to our Vizlib Collaboration backend. Our Vizlib Collaboration backend is state of the art. So what we're doing is we're migrating our commentary bit of the finance report on top of the same Vizlib server that Vizlib Collaboration stands on, right? So it will basically be the same database, but coming back to this, you'll be able to use one or the other. And the front end experience of commentary will remain unchanged. As a matter of fact, it will be enhanced with features such as categorization and hopefully soon also workflows.
Martin, there were a bundle of questions around the Gantt chart.
Yeah.
I didn't send those out to everybody because I figured you could probably address them all at once.
Yeah. So so one question is if we can add any, if you can do any changes to the data using the Gantt chart extension, right? And as I mentioned, at the moment, no, it's read only, right? It's more for analysis purposes and exploration purposes. However, you will have the ability, hopefully, towards the end or September, August next year, to use this to kind of update various events directly in the chart that will write back to a database and update the underlying data. So that's where our vision is heading to. We just brought out version number 1, so be patient with us. But that will happen because ultimately that's what's going to make the Gantt chart a very powerful tool. So for those of you who wonder what I'm talking about, being able to look at pages review, click on this and drag it and position it somewhere else, and then see how it affects other timelines and projects. Cool. Another question on themes is, yes, we are looking at themes, however, always in a limited capacity, right? So for example, we want to be able in our Vizlib library to be able to load in standard theme coloring, right? But will we be supporting themes in its entirety? We don't know yet. For us, it was more important to begin with the templates, right? We feel it's much more powerful than the themes itself. but then we will also work on themes. I know we've been talking about this for a while now, but we thought we wanted to set the priorities first and work one first on rather than the other. So that has a little bit, changed the direction, let's say, in the last 4 or 6 months, but it's definitely not forgotten, because we have a lot of customers who rely on themes, who want to work with themes, and yeah, it just makes sense, I would say. Cool. All right, so a last question I'll cover, and then we're almost out with time. As always, don't hesitate sending questions to support@vizlib.com. We'll always be happy to support you. One question was, what project software have we used to pull the data for the Gantt chart? Is it MS Project, Jira? And back to the documentation, right? Like, it can load any kind of data, right? All we need is we need to make sure it's configured in a certain way. So if I create a new Gantt chart, again, from scratch, you will see that we have a very smart wizard that scans your data. And what we need is effectively four attributes. We need or even 3, as a matter of fact. We need event, right? And that can be a project, that can be a task name. We need a start date, an end date, and then group picks, right? So that data can come from MS Project. That data can come from Jira. Again, as long as you have those 4 fields set, it will be read by the Gantt chart and be presented, right? So there might be some need to do some ETL in the load script, perhaps more around formatting. But in case you have any questions how the data needs to look like, this is exactly how we've defined this. So, you see here what is required, what is optional, what kind of type it needs to be, and what it's used for, and where it will be reused, right? So you can see exactly where group, subgroup, and paragroup roll up, an example data set. So, as long as you can get your MS Project data look like this example, you should definitely be fine, and use our Gantt chart to visualize it. Cool. So with this, I thank you very much for your attendance. Thank you very much for joining the webinar, and the last webinar for the year. I would like to thank you for the attention, and yeah, download the Gantt chart, download the Vizlib Collaboration server, and yeah, have a great break for the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Enjoy your time with your loved ones. Relax, and then I think 2020 is going to be a great year for data, great year for data analytics, and I'm pretty sure you guys will be working on some very fantastic things. So with this, thank you very much, and I shall speak to you soon. Thank you.